2, 3, clap.
Oh, that's horrible.
Did you both clap?
Yes.
She did.
I wanted to. Okay, I'm sorry.
This whole bathroom thing is going to be an issue.
Yeah, we're going to have an argument later, Richard. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to you.
I never said we were doing marriage guidance here. I just said we were doing like podcasting, so... To another episode of We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard. I'll be your host for today or tomorrow or Tuesday or Saturday or Sunday or whenever you happen to listen, because after all, it is your podcast. Now, joining me today, they're not from, they're from Bermooda's End, which this is the first thing I'm hoping I'm pronouncing correctly. And they're here to talk. And they're here to talk about a game that they have coming to Kickstarter. So this is what you would call a kind of a work in progress, quick start on the Kickstart type of show. So joining me, I've got Daryk, I've got April, I've got Lauren in the background somewhere cursing my name.
She's back there.
She's definitely back there.
And they're here to talk about Are You Gonna Eat That?, which is their game coming to Kickstarter. So, hello. Thank you very much for coming on.
Hello. Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for having us.
I know. Thank you so much
for
the opportunity.
That's so good. It's we've been talking for a couple of months, and then it's just really good to kind of have you guys on here so we can have a chat and we can find out a little bit more about the campaign. The reason that we do this for people who haven't listened to the show before, first of all, thank you very, very much for joining us. The reason that we do this is because, there's not enough podcasts out there about board games. Just checked. I mean, there's quite a few of us in Scotland now. We've got Brainwaves by the Giant Brain guys. We've still got Unlucky Frog Gaming with Ben and Charlotte and Josh. I believe the wonderful Bez in Scotland, she's also doing her own kind of internet radio show. So we are growing. We're about to take over. But the other reason we're here is that when somebody sends you an email and the title is, "Are you going to eat that?" I thought they were actually referencing to the delicious lunch I had in front of me, and I thought that's a bit of a personal question to ask as an opener. So
we'll like personal questions, so be ready.
I know. Just like opening salvo is going to be like making me think about my diet, which isn't a very, very good thing. But again, no, thank you very, very much for coming on. One thing we're interested in, and we're always interested in before we dive in to have a chat about the project itself, is to talk a little bit about yourselves. Because is this your first campaign?
Yes, it is. Very first, and we're very excited about it.
Good stuff. But as with all things, we are kind of interested in kind of how you got into the hobby in the first place. So we like to stare back in the breakfast of the morning. Have a look at the lunchtime of the present before we disappear off into the dessert and afters of the future. So
exactly.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your histories with the hobby?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we got into board games a few years ago, just kind of as a hobby. It was something, we'd have friends over and just play games. And I think that one day we just decided that, what if we just made our own game, just for fun amongst ourselves. And so, myself, April, and a couple other friends just sat down, and it was really just meant for us, just to have a little bit of fun, sitting around. And, as we got into it, we're like, oh, this is pretty fun. This game's great. And, after a little bit more hashing, and then we're like, what if we actually took this to the next step and tried to actually produce this and create a business? And we were all like, yeah, sure, sounds great. And, we designed the game and we got a good product. All of our friends who came over and played it loved it. And then we got to the business side. And we realized how much more, there was to this whole project than we had initially thought. And no regrets, absolutely not. We're absolutely loving what we're doing. We're so happy to be out here, reaching out to the community. But it started out as a very casual thing, and we just kind of just grew, as friends and as a company, I suppose. And now we're here, 3 days to launch. Yeah,
I know, it's very exciting.
So what kind of games? I mean, as a couple, I mean, okay, here we go. Do you prefer to play games as a couple? I should really point out that you guys are actually married.
Yeah.
It's not just it's not like you met and you said, oh, hi, what's your name? And you went, oh, I'm April Mall. And it's what? Well, that's funny because I'm Daryk Mall. Wow.
That would have been interesting.
We've totally got the same surnames. We should really just hang out all the time.
Which is what would happen.
Yeah, it would happen in a sitcom. There's bound to be a sitcom out there where folk have kind of ended up getting together because of that. But, I mean, do you guys prefer to play in a group of friends, or do you guys just like, if nothing is on Netflix, do you guys prefer to like sit down and say, okay, let's have a quick two-player game or something?
Personally, I prefer playing with full 4-player game board games, but I'm stuck with Daryk most of the time, so I kind of have to play 2-player games. And we do love Wonders. What is it?
Seven Wonders.
Seven Wonders Duel.
That's our new favorite one.
That's one of our favorite 2-player ones right now. So
you mentioned war games.
Pardon?
Tell me more war games. I want to hear more. I want to hear more about these war games.
I mean,
if April's not getting her voice here at the moment, if she's not getting the chance to kind of play her games, I'd like to hear what kind of war games do you like?
We range pretty much all over the place. I mean, we have over a couple hundred games. We are collectors. Okay. But Twilight Imperium is a fantastic one, but it's only one we play once every couple months because it's so long.
Yeah, it's one of those games where you have to plan ahead with your friends and tell them, all right, this day we're going to spend a whole day to play Twilight Imperium, because it's just one of those games that you just have to devote on it. But then again, we have other games where, hey, you want to come over and spend like a couple hours playing, I don't know, King of Tokyo or something. So it all depends on our moods, but yeah, definitely my favorite genre. I know you're going to ask anyway, so I'll just tell you now. My favorite genre is worker placement and resource management.
Yeah.
So are you a viticulture?
Yes,
fan then?
We love viticulture.
Yeah, viticulture is an amazing game. We like that one a lot. So, I personally prefer the competitive kind of strategy games. It just fits my personality. So Through the Ages, the Game of Thrones board game is actually incredibly fun as well.
Yeah.
So like I said, we've got a good collection. I could sit here and talk about all of our games for days. So we just love it. We love all games realistically.
Have you ever kind of went out, kind of, where you going? I'm going to the mall. Where are you going? I'm going out here. You ever both went out and kind of ended up buying both of you the same board game without just kind of knowing, and then presenting it as a surprise and realizing that you've both bought each other the same board game kind of thing?
No, not quite that story. But I'm going to go ahead and throw April under the bus, and she has definitely ordered multiple copies of the same game.
That was just me.
So I unpackaged the box when it arrives, and I was like, April ordered a game online, cool. And then I look and I'm like,
there's two.
Why do we have 2 copies? And she wasn't there at the time, and it was a fun conversation when she got home.
I honestly, I have no idea what happened, but I was like, oh, this is a cool game. And then it came, and I'm like, why did I order 2? One for you and one for me.
So we've decided it's a great gift.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes the app or the website doesn't update in time. What game out of interest was it?
It was
Herbaceous?
Harvest.
Oh, it was Harvest, yeah. Yeah, it was Harvest.
By TMG.
Yeah.
A great game. It's actually, I love it. It's one of those games that, like I said, we like worker placement, but
Yeah.
as
pretty
you
quick.
know, worker placements tend to take forever because all the different strategies that you wanted to go, all the routes that you wanted to take. That Harvest is actually a really good one because it's a quick worker placement and resource management game. But yeah, I ordered 2 of them. Would you like one?
Would you like one?
Yeah, sure. Just send it over in the bus.
All right.
I'll just
get it out
pick
there.
up because I always like a good worker placement one. It's no, but I mean, has that made things kind of easier? Because I mean, a lot of the creators I speak to, whether they be content creators or whether they be creating the first kind of Kickstarter project, is generally I'm doing this I'm doing this by myself, and my partner has to be very kind of understanding. So with you guys, has it brought out? Do you get points where like you're kind of like you're spending, obviously you're not spending time together during the day, obviously, unless you're working together in the same business. Do you sometimes have to just sit down there and say, right, tonight we're not working on the project, we're just going to have some you and me time, just play a normal kind of board game, I guess?
Absolutely, yeah. It's I mean, I think it just comes with the balance with anything. Once we started the business, like you said, it really became a lot of, okay, should we play a board game or should we be kind of working and developing our own? We definitely have to set aside time. I mean, personally as well, just between us two, being married, finding the time to actually sit down and allocate it to just quality time as opposed to work, because our hobby definitely kind of crosses over and overlaps with our business at this point. So separating it, I think, is a necessity at times. A lot of times it overlaps, but being able to just say, we're just playing games, let's just have fun, as opposed to, like, oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about that for our game? I think it's important to be able to not get overwhelmed and kind of kill your own hobby just because it is, in essence, work for you now.
And when you're working on it, do you both decide to work on it at the same time? Or is it a case of one of you kind of disappears? You generally kind of work together when you are working on the game?
It depends. Most of the time, we do set aside a specific time for everyone, whenever everyone's free, to come over, talk about the game, all the things that we have to do, or like just sit down and brainstorm about our next game. But sometimes, at least speaking for Daryk and I have some days where I'm doing something else, and then I have some ideas that would pop up, and I would write them down, and I would kind of work alone and then present it to the table. So it's on and off, but most of the time we do set a specific time for work. Yeah,
I mean, I think a lot of that is, one of my I guess jobs with what we do is I kind of allocate time, and say like, okay, so this needs to be done, let's meet at this time to talk about it. And that's where we get a majority of our work done. But then there's obviously more work, so that's where I spend a lot of my time kind of saying, okay, well, I'm going to be taking care of this before we meet next week. This needs to be done. April, you do this. Lauren, you need to do that. So it's a healthy mix, I would say. But nonetheless, I think we enjoy getting together as a group of friends, just like we did, a year ago. I think that's pretty important to us as a company, is kind of enjoying what we do.
That, yeah.
So
one of the things that scared me in the beginning was, when you have a hobby and you really love that hobby and you wanted to, I think everyone's dream is to have a job that they that pays money for them to do the hobby or something that they love. And one of the things that I was really scared about was I am so scared that this whole hobby or this whole company is going to turn my hobby into, oh man, like I gotta go to work, or I gotta work on something. It's it's going to turn it to something that's not fun. So we try to keep that balance, and just like earlier we said, we certainly set a time aside just to play a game and not talk about the company at all, just to stay sane, I guess.
Yeah.
How many rooms of the house have currently got board games in them?
We have the whole dining room.
Yeah, we have converted a one of our rooms pretty much strictly to a board game room. It is our dining room.
It is our dining room, and
It's a decent sized room that only has board games in it, pretty much.
You're just eating on the sofa now. It's like if you get guests coming around for dinner. And it's like,
Exactly.
should we just make it? No, you can't sit there. That's an expensive.
That's for board games only.
Table.
You know what? I know you're joking, but that's actually what's happening.
That is pretty much what happens in our house. You know, if you know what you love, you just run with it.
If you spill a drink on that felt, that takes hours.
Oh, it's
Dry. So you're not going to go near that.
Oh.
we do everything we can to make sure that people don't really put any food or oils, especially like on the felt and things. We're like, no. Go eat on the couch. Go eat on our couch and our carpet.
Oh my god.
We'd rather fix that.
Yeah, I think it's because we have a gaming table that one of our friends has made for us, and that friend is out of state, so so we're trying to like take care of the gaming table as much as we can.
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing that's going to happen. They're going to come back in when they see you, and they're going to brush you. They're going to brush you to one side, kneel down next to the table, and go, "You okay? Did they treat you well? Is this a mark, Daryk? Is this a mark here?"
What have you done to her?
Exactly. It's like Lando Calrissian and Han Solo in The Falcon in Return of the Jedi.
Exactly.
And she'll be okay.
You've taken care, right?
I promise, not a scratch.
Oh my gosh.
We're hiding the large mark on the side of the table, and there's games on top of the oil stains.
Oh no!
No, we don't have any of that. We've taken excellent care of her.
But, just in case they're listening. Frantically finding the number for like a French polisher that specialises in game tables. Kind of thing.
Only the top quality.
So do you, I mean, that's good though, because does that mean that with you having such a large game collection, have you been able to kind of review mechanics and you know what kind of works for you as a game, and has that made it easier for you kind of when you've been designing, you know, are you going to eat that? Is that kind of help with that process?
Absolutely. As you know, there's 4 of us in the company. There's Michael, Lauren, myself, and Daryk, and we actually all have different kind of genres that we like. So when we started creating games, we sat down and say, well, I like this mechanic, so I wanted to implement it here. And then the other 3 would say the same thing. Well, I like this mechanic, so we'll put it together. So we just kind of like, that's a good thing about being so different with the genre, is we create like this one masterpiece for us, where it kind of involves every single thing. It kind of touches every single itch that we have.
Right. Yeah. It's. I mean, I think that was a big part of, you know, when we were designing. I mean, you could look at any game, and once we started developing, we, you know, even whenever we're playing games, like my favorite, like Through the Ages, I'm like, oh, you know, this reminds me of this game, or oh, this is like, this mechanic is like that game. And so we kind of just took that to the next level, and, you know, we took all of our favorite pieces, put it together, and we ended up with, you know, a very unique and very fun game. We love it.
What's Lauren's favourite genre games?
She loves hidden movement games.
Does she?
Yeah, she loves Letters to Whitechapel.
The Letters to Whitechapel's amazing.
Yes, and then I don't know if you've ever played Ninja.
Oh, Ninja is fantastic. I think that's a hidden gem that not too many people know about.
Yeah,
but Ninja is one of my more favorite hidden movement games as well.
I love that game.
I take it she's not a fan of elimination games, so she ends up sitting at the side for like hours at a time while they're continue playing.
I think none of us are actually a fan of those kind of games where
it's okay. I mean, the only thing with those is typically you end up, you know, whoever gets eliminated, just they go and do their own thing while we finish out the game. So they're fun in their own right, but not necessarily, it doesn't give the result that we like.
Yeah. I'm obviously still feeling really bad that she's currently not on the show, but she is kind of in the room.
Yeah, no worries. She doesn't mind too much, so we'll be filling her in. She'll be listening to the podcast, and she's going to love all this commentary from you later.
Okay. Lauren, I'm really sorry. I'm going to send you an apologetic email. Maybe. But then, okay, so I mean, this is the thing, because you've obviously gone from the collection, and you mentioned earlier on that what you, in the summary part, you kind of mentioned that what you did is you kind of got together, putting together kind of some ideas, and you kind of came up with, well, you know, let's do something ourselves, kind of that kind of direction. What kind of what kind of forced that? I mean, you've got, obviously, I'm assuming that you have played every single game that you have in your collection. Then was it boredom that made you want to get out of your game? I mean,
I think it was really just. It was just fun. I mean, it was interesting. I think we were playing Werewolf that night. I don't know if you're familiar with that game.
Yeah.
So, we had a good group of friends, like 13, 14 people. It was a good night. And then it kind of wound down. There's 3 or 4 of us left, mine and April's home, and then a couple of friends. And, and it was just like, I don't exactly know how it came up, but we just decided, what if we just kind of put some things together and made our own game and just played it amongst ourselves for fun? We thought we'd spend an hour messing around, drawing on some flashcards and then playing a game. And then, like I said, it just really developed from this kind of casual, like, let's just do this real quick and have fun with it for the rest of the night, to... Oh, okay, this is fun. We should actually hash this out and then send it to a prototype. We worked with Game Crafter, and and then we got to see that, and then we're like, oh, this is going to be a thing. We want to make this a thing and kind of share our idea with everybody. I think that as a company, we all decided that we love games, and it's not about getting rich, although we would love that. Please support us. But but it was really about. We love this game. We designed it, and we wanted to share it with everybody. We wanted to get it out there, and that's where it developed.
Daryk, was that the charity shout out?
A little bit. Please. You fit it in where you can.
Daryk is 32. Daryk is 32, and as a struggling volleyball coach, he really needs help taking his life in a new direction. Cardboard is now his way.
Can I use that?
You can help Daryk reach his goal by texting card to 71824. Pledge $10 a day and let Daryk reach his cardboard dream.
Oh my gosh! I don't know if you guys.
Crop that.
I don't know if you guys have these, like, so here in America we have these commercials?
Oh, they're brutal.
About like, what is it called? Like dog shelters.
They make you feel about as guilty as you can.
Yes. So we would crop whatever you just said, put it on a video, and just put Daryk's face with like a really sad puppy face, and and we'll go from there.
And I'll just be kind of holding the game in front of me, just really sad. It's I think it'll be great.
You have to set off the scene. Is that you are going for a strike in volleyball to score the winning point, and you messed up. You fall like that wrestler did.
and I'm just laying on the ground. Like, everybody's already left the gym. Everybody's
just looking at you, and you just look at you, shaking your head. You pick up the volleyball, and it's there's a tear in it, and it's broken, and that's your last volleyball, and you're going home, and it's like Wilson out of Castaway. It's just you sitting there now. You've drawn a face because you're trying to hold on to this volleyball for as long as possible, and then it cues the music, which is Bridge Over Troubled Water, and then we bring
specifically
we bring in the vocals.
That's pretty good. Sounds like a plan. Let's do that.
This is now a fun side project. I don't know if you realize what you've started. We'll be sending you a video in the email soon.
That will be a perfect Kickstarter video.
For what?
For a game.
You just don't want somebody sitting there and just like going, hi, we're the creators of Are You Gonna Eat Dead? And let me tell you why you should be back in the game. Yeah. You're taking Kickstarter to the next level.
Yeah,
that's what everybody says about Kickstarter videos. They're fairly dull. It's kind of a really surprised person sitting in front of the camera for the first time.
No, exactly. I think we spent a decent amount of time in our video, and we actually love our Kickstarter video. It's a little animated short, and I think it's really fun. So I think it'll hopefully captivate people as opposed to boring them.
I'm just saying it sounds good, Daryk, but this could be better.
I'm with you. No, I'm
Absolutely.
completely with you. We have 2 days to figure this out. We'll put it together.
we could get. I mean, you could Monday. I think tomorrow. I think after the show, still got plenty of time because you're PST, so you still got the rest of the day. You could get this nailed. We could cut out the voiceover. Everything could be done. But with you having the lad, you had no idea the direction this conversation was going. I did say to you at the top before we spoke that this could go anywhere at all, and you were like, "No, it's not," and it is. It has.
It has.
when you're sitting around with your board game collection, what makes you decide? I mean, did you take elements? And are you going to eat that? Let's kind of jump into the, 26 minutes. Still haven't talked about the game, but but let's talk about the game, because what made you decide from you're saying like worker placement, April saying kind of war games, what made you decide? Well, actually, was it just the culmination of that night where everybody kind of sat around and had a muck around that it came from there? And did you decide to use anything else from any of the other genres that you'd played in kind of, are you going to eat that?
I know we definitely have. I just can't pinpoint anymore what games we got it from. There's just so many different games that when we brainstormed, it's like, oh, what about this kind of mechanic from this game, or what about this kind of mechanic? But yeah, we just kind of like picked and choose what we think would work with the game the best, and I can't pinpoint to you what games they are.
I'm kind of with her, because I know we pulled from quite a few games. I can definitely pinpoint one that stuck with me, and this is coming from somebody who has a couple hundred games. We played Twilight Imperium for 8 hours. I remember pulling from Sorry, that the game that we played as kids with the family. And I just remember being like, what I loved about Sorry was that I could kind of say, I'm not gonna curse, but screw you, Mom, and send her back to her start without getting in trouble.
Cursing at your mother.
No, never.
I'm not gonna curse. Screw you, Mom. I used to though.
But I remember being so happy that I could kind of get back at her for whatever it was that I had to clean my room that day when I was a kid or whatever, and I'm like, oh, sorry, you have to go back to start.
You have to go back to your room.
Yeah, you have to go back to your, and then I got sent to my room. But no, I remember actually pulling that for the game, because I was like, I want an aspect of being able to kind of mess with your friends or family and be like, oh, it's just a part of the game. I had no control of it. I'm so sorry. When meanwhile, it was pretty spiteful. We all know it was spiteful, but you have a great cover. So
we have. I do remember. Also, one of the mechanics that we have that we pulled from some other game is actually the stealing aspect of our game. I don't know if you guys have it's like Christmas, what is it, like a gift,
a white elephant,
gift exchange game. It's called White Elephant, where everybody brings gift, put it under the tree, and then it has a number in it, and then you pick a number, and whatever number you are, if you're number 1, then you get to choose first whatever you want out of all the gifts under the tree. And the aspect of that game that we took was the gift can only be stolen twice. Once it's stolen the second time, it's locked in, so you're stuck with that gift. So it's kind of like that's what we did with our foods with the stealing aspect of our food. Mm-hmm. Like if Daryk takes a bite of his pizza, so that's like half, right?
Yeah, it's half eaten basically.
Half eaten.
But once it's taken twice,
it's either he just shoved the whole thing in his mouth, or I take it and I eat it.
So
no, we don't have the white elephant thing in Scotland round about Christmas time. We do have shoplifting though, which is a little bit more fun and involves a little bit more more exercise. Basically.
I think
could you elaborate?
I would love you to elaborate that, because here shoplifting involves jail time.
Nah, and here it still involves like a gentle clip round the ear, and you have to take your shampoo that you've stolen back to like the drugstore, basically. So it's still kind of it still happens. You get it still happens. People with like really big plastic bags, and they walk into one place and they're empty, and they walk out again and they're kind of full. And it's just a bit of fun. Shoplifting isn't fun. I'm not condoning theft of any kind, but it's fun.
Oh, but you're bridging the line. You're getting very close to the line.
Very close.
There's no line.
There's no line.
I could edit out this if I wanted to, or not.
That's the nice part.
Or
you're shoplifting, so there's no line.
Have you saying it instead? So there's a whole different way of doing this. What's the basic mechanics behind the game? Let's jump into the actual mechanics. If I've opened up my box of Are You Gonna Eat That? What am I expecting when I'm going to be playing it?
Yeah. So I guess in a very basic way, our game is about eating as much food as you can to get as many points. The person who ate the most food wins at the end. So it's played over 3 rounds: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we have, every single card is different and unique. So I don't know if you've played like Dixit, where you find a card and you're like, oh, I've never seen this card. It's so cool. I think you kind of get that feel for our game, and we really like that. We were really excited when we went with the full, every card is unique and different. And so once you kind of delve into each round, you kind of have this hand of cards that you can kind of choose to play on whoever's playing with you. You can play your food in front of you, or steal from your mates, or turn loss them by maybe they get sick and they have to run out of the diner, so they get turn lost and things like that. So once you get into it, it becomes a very cutthroat game. You have your own food and you're trying to protect it, while at the same time, you're also trying to steal other people's food, and it just creates a very fun atmosphere. I think every playtest we've had starts out a little bit slow, as every game does when somebody is learning it, but by the time it gets to lunch for their first game, they're throwing cards at each other or the plates, and they're like, oh, you're stealing from me, or it is very fun for us to watch, even on the outside as well as to play. So it just gets everybody involved. It's a pretty fun game. So
has it been kind of cool through the playtesting? I mean, have you found people have picked it up quite easily once they have got into it? And it sounds like it's been a fairly kind of enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I think people usually pick it up pretty quick. I don't think that somebody has played through it and not really understood something at the end. In the beginning, there were definitely some rule discrepancies. So, people were like, oh, what does this mean? What does that mean? And that's where, actually learning how to write a rule book properly was the toughest part, I think, for myself and Lauren, who worked on the rule book. Because we wrote down everything, all the information's there, but then getting somebody to understand it, their first read through, and assuming we weren't there to help to hold their hand to teach them the game. Yeah. Making sure that people understood the game properly was a big challenge. So in the beginning, it was a little bit rough. But I think we've hashed everything out, and it's pretty clear, and people get it, by the end of the first round. The game takes about 30 to 40 minutes to play. We can burn through a game in 15 minutes, but we've been playing it quite a few, for a while. So, but yeah, people pick it up pretty quick, I would say now.
Was it, was it when you got to a stage with the game, did you get to a point where you were stripping stuff out of the game at all? I mean, and the temptation is, again, it goes back to kind of like the genres that you've played yourself. Is the final version that you've ended up, is that pretty close to what you started off with, or did you add in additional stuff that you then took out because it kind of didn't work in playtesting at all?
Yeah, I think that's going to come through with anybody who may be listening that wants to design games, or at least have a little bit of fun with it. Don't be afraid to kind of just hardline, to just cut or add. We had a very clear idea of what we wanted, and I think we actually came pretty close to what it was that we wanted in the beginning. But there's definitely some rules that were added where I don't think we ever thought about adding them. For example, our empty plate tokens weren't initially in the game, and they only got added, a couple months ago, or a little bit longer, like 4 or 5 months ago, so about halfway through the project. And since the addition, the game is much smoother, and we're very happy that we did it. But it really comes down to a lot of play testing. So, we're like, okay, let's take this out. And then we play it 20 times and then go, okay, that's not good, or, oh, we need to put it back in. But overall, I think in the end, we came pretty close to our initial idea. Everybody kind of got what they wanted out of the game. And I guess at the end of the day, we enjoy the game. And everybody we've seen that have played it has enjoyed the game, except for one test group. Just one. They were not happy about it, but they had a rough time understanding the rule book, and they were
so
difficult.
Mean.
Yeah, but that's the only isolated incident. So in terms of statistics, we're doing all right.
When you're going into this, April, into the design side of things, do you have ideas for kind of like expansions and additional cards and stuff, like things like that? I mean, have you already got kind of like that in the background? Because I take it when you're thinking we're going to Kickstarter this, you must be thinking kind of potential stretch goals. So is that part of the design process as well? Is it a case of do you think as expansions as an addition to the game that is just there, and if you need to run with it, then you can run with it, but it's not going to worsen the game if you kind of don't have it?
Yeah, so that's okay. That's one of the biggest things that we don't want to do. There's some games on Kickstarter where they have the stretch goals and they have Kickstarter exclusives that changes the game, and like if you miss a Kickstarter, then there's no way for you to get that, extra stuff that will change the game for you. So we're trying to avoid that. We don't want to add anything on the game that will completely change the mechanic or completely change the play style. So as far as extra cards, promo cards, and things like that, we're still talking about it, but we don't have anything set yet. But as far as expansions, we're definitely have some ideas for later. But first, we wanted to see how people are going to react to the game. We definitely are a company we're listeners. We love listening to people's feedback and then grow and learn from there. So instead of us, refining or even coming up with a specific expansions now, we wanted to get the game out there first and see what the game or what players think about and listen to their feedback, and from there we'll go on. But we're definitely, for the expansions, we were thinking of cultured food, like cultural. So right now we have what is it, kind of like a basic
it kind of actually is a range of a lot of foods.
It's a range of a lot of very common food that you will find in a lot of common restaurants. But as far as expansions, we were thinking maybe we can add some Mediterranean or Greek food or or Asian cuisine and stuff like that.
Yeah. So is it kind of like American diner type stuff that you've got just now then?
Yes.
In some ways.
In a way, yeah.
I think, even then we reach out to, a couple other dishes like curries, so I think we actually have a decent range, fortunately. So, but overall, I would say, 98% of the food you would find at an American diner or something. So, or some American restaurant here.
Okay. Is there dishes that you've put in there that kind of mean something to people in the group? I mean, yeah.
Pizza.
Pizza, my god. Lot of late nights with pizza. Other than card design, so I know I mentioned, that we have 150 unique cards, 50 cards per breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yeah. And so in regards to that, I think that one of the most fun parts, I think, that all of us love looking back on and things is just the design. Like, okay, this isn't "Are you going to eat that" card? So I'll kind of give one of the cards is fun, where you have that kind of the long tables that you can think of for the old days where they're sitting at a long table, and one person is texting the other person on the far side of the table, and they're saying, "Are you going to eat that?" And it's just kind of this funny, unique little way of trying to steal somebody's food in a way, I guess. And so other than the unique card design, that's really where I think we had the most fun as a group and really enjoy and kind of look at it and say, I remember coming up with that idea, that was funny. And remember when we tried this card and it just looked horrible once we did the art, things like that.
We definitely had those.
Was it, you've got the game designed, okay, and the game's out for play testing and everything seemed kind of positive and nice and good and everything like that. How much of a culture shock was it turning this from being an idea that you had play tested into actually approaching the business side of it? Because I know, look at it this way, I guess I speak to a lot of companies that are doing their projects and have done for a couple of years now. Mm-hmm. As the business aspect, has that been something that's also is potentially been a bigger learning curve than putting the game together itself?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Daryk is the one that's going to be giving you all the details.
Yeah, so I actually am the designated CEO, and it doesn't mean much other than when there's a big decision, usually I take care of it. So business law, that's right up my alley. And I would say that initially getting into it, I think that it's not that it was more, we didn't bite off more than we could chew, but we were pretty close. So we didn't realize, I think we came into it with a very naive mind of, this can't be too bad. And after looking into things and doing a lot of research, we just decided, like, okay, if we're going to do this, let's go about it the right way, So I would say if we just kind of decided to just launch our game on Kickstarter, I don't think the business side would be too bad. But we did a lot of research, I don't know if you have heard of the game Exploding Kittens.
Oh, yeah.
Most likely.
Think so.
It's one of the bigger ones for sure, on Kickstarter at least. And I know we had gotten a chance to actually speak, in a conference with the designers of that game. And I know they had mentioned that they were actually, they mentioned they had gotten sued they had copyrights. So people in China were producing their game without their permission. And so they didn't have anything legal set up, which kind of ended up being very difficult for them to kind of get their IP back, their intellectual property back, and kind of fight that case from these Chinese copywriters, counterfeiters, not copywriters. And, so that was something that we kind of saw, and that's just one small example, of, okay, well, let's make sure that we're covered here, and then establishing a business. And I know when we ship to the EU and things, there are different safety requirements for our box and different labels that we need. So a lot of that, it's really just comes down to the research. I wouldn't say it's not necessarily hard. It's just a lot of time kind of putting into it and make sure you do things right.
It's not hard, but definitely what I think the hardest part of it is researching for something you don't know what you're researching about. That's one of the things that was really hard for me, because when we were looking at, okay, how do we actually go about creating this game and, producing it and sending it to all different countries. Well, we have to follow certain rules and things like that, but we don't really know what we're looking into. Like, what are we actually looking for?
Yeah.
So that's one of the hardest things, but definitely, like he said, it's not hard. It's just a lot of research, a lot of time you put into it, and obviously you make sure you get the right information online.
No. I mean, I know. I deal with. I help new businesses with product launches on marketplaces, and I think there's it can be a mountain to climb in terms of, somebody saying to me, well, I'm going to go and sell in America. And it's like, brilliant. You realise you'll need to look at your potential trademark that you've got, but I've got one for the EU. No, you'll need to look at the one for the US just in case, so you can just kind of guarantee it. You need to make sure you've got, make sure you've got kind of that. You need to make sure you're not, somebody else isn't taking your name in another country as well, which can be, kind of like a big kind of thing to go. And then you've got things like your shipping and your logistics and stuff like that. And all of these things are services that will cost you money, and they're all going to kind of chip away at the kind of the end result of you. I mean, your profit line. Let's face it. I mean, a lot of people, you can go for the glory and say, I'm making this Kickstarter game because I want to make a game idea. But a lot of people go into Kickstarter with an idea that to say it's going to cost this X amount of money to make the game and to get it out there. But obviously, I'd like to potentially make some money from this so I can put it into kind of like the next project as well.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of you got the law. I mean, you've got the law side kind of sorted out. The design side of things are kind of sorted out. When it came to like the media and the kind of the noise and everything like that, and you obviously had Lauren. Hi, Lauren. to do that. I mean, you're not CMON, so when you looked at that, was again that kind of like a pretty big minefield to go into? Did you decide, no, we're just going to approach it how we would approach everything, and everything else, let's just kind of do it methodically as we can?
I think that you definitely, kind of brought up, as we, the elephant in the room for us. The marketing, I think, is the biggest challenge for us. None of us have really done anything and tried to kind of get our idea out to people. One of the biggest things that you hear about and is you could have an amazing product. You could have just the best board game that was ever, undisputable. And then if you don't know how to market, you're not going to do well at all. And or you could have a horrible product, but if you're very good at marketing, you're gonna look like you did just amazing. You're gonna pull in all the money, and you did great, fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think the marketing definitely has been the biggest struggle for us. Lauren has been just fantastic on working on all of that. She's done so much research. Her and April both actually have spent a lot of time kind of looking into that stuff. And I mean, we all have, but them specifically. And I still don't.
Me.
I still don't know that we've reached the amount that we would like, but it's never enough, with the marketing, and that's kind of where it comes down to is if we reached 1 million people, okay, fantastic, but we would always want to just get our game out there, and it's just tough. It's definitely the hardest part for us.
Yeah, especially we're hermits, and we
Yes,
only
we are.
literally we're board gamers, and we're not very big on social media. We're not the kind of people that would sit on our phones and just constantly scroll through social media and stuff like that. So to start our social media following, it was pretty rough for us, but we're learning. There's definitely a learning curve, but we're doing well, I think.
Yeah, I think we're up to over 1,000 followers on our Twitter and Instagram, and it's and for us, that's a huge win, considering literally none of us even had, a Twitter or anything like that before we decided that we wanted to start, PRing and reaching out to people. And once again, that's where, Lauren and April have just taken charge of that.
That's me.
And that's you. She's just going to keep chiming in.
Every single time.
Yeah.
She should get 5. She should get 5 minutes at the end where we should get her on and she could just say hello.
Yeah. We can just tell her how great she is.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can just tell her how great she is for about 5
Give me a
minutes,
pat
and
on
she'll be very happy. But they've done a great job at learning how, and it's that learning curve. It started out really rough, and then as they went on, they're like, okay, this is how we manage it. This is how we get involved with the community, and people respond well when we do this, not so much when we do that. And just keeping track of all that, charts, and what are we doing, where and when. We just try to be as organized as possible with things, and it seems to work out that way.
But hey, what's going to be exciting for our next project? It might not be the smoothest thing ever, but it will be much, much smoother, and it will be a lot easier for us. So
absolutely, yeah.
It's definitely gave us a lot of challenges in the beginning, but I know it's worth it.
Yeah, it's a lot of upfront work, and then you'll definitely run into hiccups, that you didn't run into in previous campaigns, even if it's your 20th campaign. And but I think the first one is the hardest one. But if we all decided, when it was getting hard, and we kind of sat down to talk about, do we really want to do this? Which was a very brief conversation. It was like, yes, we do. It's just we just need to put in the work. And now that we've done a lot of the upfront work, I think we feel pretty comfortable with launching. Actually, the anxiety is still there, just because it's like, how are we going to do? It's our first game, and I hope that never goes away, because that's kind of the exciting part.
That's the exciting part, exactly.
So that's where we're at with it.
Do you think that with the landscape of Kickstarter changing, that Kickstarter itself should consider changing? And what I mean by that is that there should almost be like there's a mechanic in an awful lot of games where the strongest player starts last. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the person with the most victory points is the person that automatically takes turns last in the game. Do you think it'd be more helpful if Kickstarter recognized that the landscape within itself has changed, and it should maybe look upon the new guys that have started and are actually trying to kickstart their company? And maybe should they, or am I going, well, these guys have built up their success, so they should still have I'm not talking from a coverage point of view. I'm talking from there's Project We Love badges that kind of go out there, and there's kind of highlighted, almost like highlighted games, and where they appear on the searches. Do you? As a new I don't expect you to. I expect you to say, "Listen, I'm not answering that question." I use a lawyer in for this.
Let me have Lauren answer that question. I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm joking.
No. But do you think that maybe Kickstarter should consider how it deals with newer companies, rather than be we are the platform for you to try and get crowdfunding to say, guys, we're making a lot of money now, so let's look at how we can potentially help newer businesses come on. Because look at it this way, right? You guys do really well, and you fund, and everything's brilliant, and then what you do is you do project number 2 and that funds. You do project number 5, 6, 12, 15. You get to project probably number 16, you decide you've got enough stuff behind you to go down the kind of the self-publish route, to go through distributors and everything like that. But you always kind of have that start at the beginning. Would it helpful if Kickstarter recognises that you might be that type of business and maybe share a little bit more love?
I mean, absolutely. You know, I mean, it's a pretty simple question, I guess, from our standpoint of it would be amazing if we had more opportunities as a kind of first publisher or, you know, new publisher.
Get some spotlight.
But I can, maybe if they gave us extra spotlight, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But although, to be honest, you know, coming from the business standpoint, you know, what I manage and everything, I don't think it's very realistic, unfortunately. Maybe they could do some small offerings, you know what I mean? Maybe like a little bit of extra PR or discounted rates, maybe. But other than that, I think that Kickstarter probably has a lot on their plate. I mean, seeing how much that we do here, and there's only 4 of us, you know, we're not a huge company. I can only imagine the amount of data, you know, that they have to collect and then run through and then choose how to do that. And they're running, I know they do ads, and I think it would be a big thing to ask. You know, so from a business standpoint, I think it'd be pretty tough for them to do something like that, and do it ethically and not, you know, kind of pick and choose. Whereas,
I suppose,
you know, but as a board game group, I mean, for us, if we're just talking about our business, you know, I'll sit here and say, yes, Kickstarter should offer something for us. I would love nothing more than to have a discounted rate on ads or some front page time guaranteed and things like that.
Yeah.
They definitely, I do kind of like some of the things they do. You know, if we fund X amount of our goal within the first X amount of time, you know, we will get a spot on the front page or things like that. And I think that's very exciting. And it kind of gives you this kind of this goal to reach for. You know, it's like, oh, we want this, so let's do everything we can. And it's a driving factor that, whether they did it intentionally or not, you know, us being a new group, we're like, we want to hit that goal. You know, we want to hit this because if we do this, Kickstarter is going to offer that. So I think they do offer some things that are a little bit more hidden. Like you wouldn't necessarily see them and say, oh, that's super beneficial for new companies or whatever it is. But there's definitely goals and things that we could take advantage of, whether they're meant for us or not. There are things that we could take advantage of as a newer company.
Do you think the psychology of being funded as a game is forcing people to drive down their funding goals unnecessarily?
Yeah.
As in, I see a lot of businesses, and I see it now, funded in the first 8 minutes, funded in the first 8 hours, funded in the first 8 days. I see still the guys that are, we have 30 days to fund this, so we're perfectly happy that we're at, you know, 78% on day 15. Why is the kind of the rush? And in some places it's becoming like, is there something wrong with this game that it's not funding in the first kind of 8 hours kind of thing, which is a strange situation to kind of be in.
Yeah.
I think it definitely makes a difference. There's, like you said, there's that psychology where if you find a game, I mean, and it funded the first 6 hours or something, you're gonna think there's got to be something really good about that game or that company. Let me get on that, you know.
Mm-hmm. It definitely makes you want to back them. From a business standpoint, I mean, you know, choosing our funding goal, you know, what our actual goal is to basically get the game produced and things. I know we started out lower, you know what I mean, for that reason of, oh, well, if we just get funded, you know, then we're happy we got our game out there. You know, and then as we look into pricing and shipping, which is probably the second biggest challenge, and that's only because we haven't necessarily hit it yet, you know, it's like, okay, well, we have to raise the price. Okay, well, we have to raise the price. And I think that's something that a lot of, and myself included, when I would back projects and things, it's not something I necessarily thought of, you know, is like, oh, you know, this game is charging, you know, this amount. Like, don't you think it's a little bit much for what they're offering? And now that we're in it, it's like, oh, I completely understand. And it's something that as a consumer, it's so hard to understand without doing your own research. Is that where we set our goal is very specific. You know, we want to get as low as possible so we can get our game out there, and yet we have to do what we have to do to make sure that we're not taking a huge hit as a company, you know, financially wise.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, if you produce your game over a certain period of the year, that potentially is going to hit when the shipping companies put in their annual percentage price raise. You know, there's there's other kind of geographical things that can be happening across the world that can lower and increase kind of exchange rates and stuff like that as well.
Right.
But I was just interested as a first time, as I say, as a first time kind of designer, if you had kind of taken the kind of that psychology of the funding into account, and then had it raised questions as to whether or not you had decided to maybe go for a slightly lower stretch goal just to have the funded, they kind of have the funded badge on the campaign. I've seen it backfire.
Yeah, no,
I've
exactly.
seen
absolutely.
I've seen rerun campaigns with a much lower kind of funding goal, and they've just scraped in that funding goal in kind of like the last couple of hours, and it's made me wonder: are you gonna have to be dipping into the back pocket in this? You know, is the piggy bank gonna get broken in order to kind of make the game? You know, in order to make the kind of game work, I guess.
Right.
Is there a big box game coming from Bermooda, and where's the name? Stop the question. Where did the name come from?
It's actually, it's so Daryk and I used to live in a street called Bermuda Street, and we live off of pretty much the end of the street. So when we were, and then we used to meet over there every night to talk about the game, the business, and all that stuff. So when we were thinking about a company name, we said, well, why don't we do Bermuda's End? Because it fits perfectly. That's pretty much like our meeting point. That's where we play games all the time and all that stuff. So we're
Sounded
like, oh,
cool.
yeah, perfect. Bermuda's End. It sounded cool. When we actually took the legal action to copyright or trademark it, we learned that you cannot use a
like a location,
like a
basically,
location,
or a country, or
location, a name of a country, or anything like that as a company name. So Bermuda is not available for us. So,
so we have a fun story. This is where the story picks up.
this is actually so. It was actually Daryk's dad was around when we were talking about it, and he just kind of pitched in jokingly, and he said, well, "Why don't you guys make it Bermuda's End, and it's MOO instead of MU, so Bermuda, and our logo would be." I don't know if you remember, but our logo is a cow showing its bum.
I'm kind of looking at that, and I'm just kind of wondering there's a bit of fear here, because
Perfect.
I'm wondering if that's potentially about to go off.
Fear sticks.
So
That's
yeah,
good.
so we kept the Bermuda's End, and because it's MOO, then it's a cow and an end, and it's
so
bum.
we have the cow kind of looking over its shoulder at the photo, and we thought it was very fun and clever.
I get it. It's still very, very scary. I'm just saying that there's any time, because it looks like it's got a glint in its eye. It's like if you come closer, this is all going to take off.
That's well, I mean, you know what they say: if you can get something to stick in somebody's head, you've done your job. So
But if you,
and we
just
we
hope
absolutely
it doesn't stick in my hair.
Oh.
Best of luck with that.
But that's definitely we love it. We love our logo.
Yeah, it's something we've actually named the cow. It's Burmy.
Burmy.
That's the name of the cow, and it's our mascot.
Hey, Burmy.
Yeah, hey, Burmy.
Fantastic.
So we had one of actually the fun things that we're doing on our Kickstarter campaign is one of the options allows you to get like a handcrafted miniature. April, as well as a couple other friends, are fantastic, amazing artists.
Thank you.
Oh, there we go again. That's me.
That's me.
And and so one of our things that you can kind of acquire is a little handcrafted miniature of Burmy from one of our friends who does very good sculptures. And so we thought it was cool. We just thought that if we were going to become a big company, that's something that somebody might be excited to have. Certainly, we're going to be having one. I mean, that's kind of a given. We're definitely making ourselves one. So it's just kind of cool. It's our little mascot.
I'm going to raise a cow in my backyard.
Oh boy, it's an ongoing conversation.
I have a question related to that, but we'll come back to that. Have you decided on prices?
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Can you tell me those prices?
Well, absolutely.
No.
I mean, it's not. I don't think it's going to be changing within the next couple of days. So, our base game is going to be offered for $25. And that comes with, all of your plate tokens, 150 unique art cards, and it's basically a pocket-sized game. So it's easy to kind of take out to lunch, and I don't know if we're the only ones that do this, but oftentimes we'll go out to sit and eat, and we'll bring a game. We'll set out in front of us. So that's something that our game can kind of do while we're waiting for our food. So it's, for what it offers, we think it's, about where it should be with price, with all the unique and the amount of cards that you kind of are getting from it. So yeah, it's that's where we're at, and for everyone we've asked, it fits with our test groups and things like that. They basically actually ranged it themselves about in there.
It was one of the biggest when we brought the playtest copy in Gen Con last year. A lot of the people who playtested the games, when we asked how are they picturing this game, like what kind of box or what kind of presentation, a lot of them, I would say 90% of them, were actually the ones who said, I would back this game if it's pocket size, if it's something that I can just toss in my bag and bring it anywhere and easy setup and stuff like that. So we definitely went with that route because that's what we want our game to be.
Yeah. And with that kind of comes that, $20, $25 range. Once again, it's not, I want to stress, and this is just because of who we want to portray ourselves as a company, it's not about, getting rich. We're not upmarking where we're at. We think it's a very fair price for what is offered and things like that. So
that sounds good.
We want to reach it out to everybody else, or get our game to everybody we can.
Okay. If people have listened along to tonight and said, okay, I want to get involved in this, where can we find you on the interweb nets?
Okay, we do have a website. It's bermoodagames.com. That's BERMOODA games.com. Under that, you would find a little bit more information about the designers, about our future games, but especially, are you going to eat that? You will be able to sign up for newsletters for future games, or for Are You Gonna Eat That? And we are set to launch in Kickstarter on May 1st, so be sure to check that out. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and it's under Bermooda Games. Again, that's BERMOODA
Games. So yeah, everything's out there. So
cool. Okay, one more question. Okay.
Yep.
Oh no.
April,
make it a good one.
Oh no.
Okay. Well, April, has got her wish, and she's now got a cow out in your back garden. Okay. That cow, for whatever reason, has decided it's going to take a wander inside into your games room. Okay.
Oh no.
But it's a bit annoyed, and it's not very happy because it goes in there and it sees lots of basically mulched trees and no grass. So it's going to start wrecking shop.
Oh no.
So you have approximately about 30 seconds to grab your 3 favourite games that you're going to save from Burmy, the mad cow.
Oh, Burmy, why'd you do this to me?
Burmy the mad cow. I think I'm going to keep running with these. You've given us some great ideas here.
What 3 games do you take with you? Now you can take 3 each, but you got to watch out because Burmy is just really annoyed.
No,
she's turned in facing you kind of tail-wise, and she's ready just to let it all go. So, and just basically scatter shot these board games. So what 3 are you going to take with you?
You have put her in so much stress here, by the way. She is staring at the wall, fidgeting right now. She's like, oh boy, only 3 games.
I'm definitely going to take viticulture because that's one of my favorites. I'm going to take Food Chain.
Oh, Food Chain.
Okay.
I'm going to take that, and Sulkin.
Sulkin is
a
personal favorite of us.
Sulkin is a good game.
Beautiful.
What about
game.
you? What about you, Daryk? What are you taking?
Through the Ages. That is bar none my favorite game. As long as I got that, I think I'd be very happy.
Okay.
And I actually really like Letters of Whitechapel. It's a hidden movement one. I love that game. And let me see here. I want to really think about this last one.
No pressure, baby.
Oh, there's pressure, all right.
No pressure.
Let me see. And you know what?
Reverse charades.
And reverse charades. No, I think I would actually take the initial Zombicide. That was probably the first game that April and I played together, and I love the game, but more so just for kind of emotional reasons. I would probably take that. That was our first game that her and I really got into together.
That is so sweet.
I gotta use this opportunity to.
I think if you say things like that, then the bathroom thing that was said earlier is going to get completely forgotten about. May 1st, 1st of May.
1st of May.
Now. But we do have more listeners in the US than we do in the UK, so as I always say to all our US listeners, howdy. Y'all come back now you're here.
It's perfect.
Because exactly, that kind of works.
Sound like a text.
It works.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. This is actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, we actually had a blast, and we've done other ones, and I think we really enjoyed ourselves with you. So thank you for having us on here.
I'm not editing that out.
No, I don't even mean that the other ones were bad. It's just that we had a blast together. So.
Sorry, we've lost Daryk. He appears to have dug himself into a really deep hole.
I'm already there. There's no getting out. I've been here for a while, Richard. There's nothing I can do.
If you want to keep an eye on what we're up to, I can't say anything else after that. You can find us on various places. You can find us on Twitter at We're Not Wizards. You can find us on Facebook at We're Not Wizards. You can find us on Instagram at We're Not Wizards. You can find us on YouTube because our lovely podcast host Podbean make sure that they put our episodes automatically on YouTube. So please drop us a quick subscription and a like if you haven't done before. We're writing a bit, so you can find us on we'renotwizards.blogspot.com. We are also on things like Spotify, and we're also on Apple Podcasts. As we always say, if you like what you've listened to tonight, or today, or in the morning, because after all it's your podcast, please consider dropping us a subscription on Apple Podcasts. If you like us even a little bit more, give us a rating or give us a review. If you are going to give us a rating or a review, please remember, under no circumstances give us a 10, because it makes us big-headed. But at the same time, don't give us the rice pudding that is a 1 star, because that will make us cry. Go in the middle, like a 5, because it's average, and we're just a little bit average. We're kind of like lasagna. But the people, I don't know how I'm holding this together, but the people who've not been average tonight, we've got April, we've got Daryk, and right at the back over there, who you haven't seen or heard of, we've got Lauren.
She's there.
And Michael wasn't able to make it too, but he's somewhere.
He's around.
Well, he's obviously doing something more important than this. There's only 2 more things to do. Well, there's 3 more things to do. Get Lauren on for a second so we can say hello.
Here's Lauren. Hello.
Just. Oh dear. Hello.
Hi.
How
I
you
missed
doing?
all of the conversation, so I don't know where I'm coming in here right now.
Yeah, that's fine. Confusion is the best way to deal with these things.
Good.
I just wanted to say thank you for the words.
Oh, yeah. The words.
You have no idea. She is actually clueless.
She's like, oh, what have they said? What have you said? All I know is that I've set up something. There's potentially going to be a words in the car situation, and we're going to believe in it at that. But Lauren reached out to us at the beginning to ask about coming on the show, and it would have been incredibly rude if we didn't have her on the show at some point.
Oh, well, thank you for allowing me to come on.
So no, you need to come on for your own episode.
Their own, just solo.
Yeah, I don't know how entertaining that would be. April's the real entertainment here.
Cool. There's only 2 more things to do. We'll just leave Daryk out of it. He can go sit in the corner
He can,
for the rest, because he's after the bathroom.
We already kicked him out, yeah.
After the bathroom comment. So there's only 2 more things to do. The first thing is to remember that we are many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards?
Nope,
Lauren
not wizards.
and April, absolutely fantastic. Of course we're not. And the second thing is to say goodbye. So it's a goodbye from Daryk in the corner.
Yes, he's waving.
He can say goodbye.
He can actually say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye,
I can't hear
everybody.
anything, Richard, but goodbye.
Goodbye, Daryk. I can't believe he was waving. I mean, oh my goodness. It's a goodbye. It's a goodbye. It's a goodbye from April. It's a goodbye.
Goodbye. Don't forget
It's
to
a-
follow us on Instagram and Twitter.
Absolutely, and it's a goodbye. It's a goodbye from Lauren. It's a
Goodbye, Richard. Thank you for having us.
That's okay. And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe. Roll sixes, and if you've got an appetite for a board game which is something different, something fun, something quick, and you're sitting there thinking, I'm still hungry, maybe you should think about asking somebody, are they going to eat that?
That's perfect.
But until the next time, goodbye.